Hello everyone, welcome to the Business of Indie Games. This is Simon Bailey.
Hi.
I'm Nicola. We organise the Business of Indie Games together.
That's right. Looking forward to this. Haven't rehearsed anything at all, and I'm just hoping that 20 years in the games business will give me an opportunity to give something back. And I'm usually in the other seat, so looking forward to today and answering any questions I can.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to get this setting up and going. We're going to go live now. We're connected with the streaming. So, we're going to talk about funding your games today.
Okay, great. Let's talk about that. Fantastic.
Yeah, we know each other quite well. We're business partners and quite good friends, so I can take the piss.
Sure, you'll take every opportunity.
Yeah, so Simon, as understated and demure as he actually is...
Thanks, that's very kind of you.
It has actually you've funded and developed 65 titles.
That's right, yeah, 65 SKUs, so probably about 25 titles, and then all on different platforms. Mostly in family entertainment. So Scooby-Doo, High School Musical, Star Wars, Clone Wars, Doctor Who 3 times, Peppa Pig, Horrid Henry, a whole raft of family entertainment stuff. And that's anything from PlayStation 1, N64, PC, right through up through all the consoles and mobile as well. So I've pitched many times to many publishers. I've pitched to investors. I've had to pitch to the team. So I've pitched to governments. So I'm very used to raising money, looking at how to finance games, and also making sure that the pitch is right, pitching games and successfully. And they're not always successful, of course. You have loads of times where you give a pitch and you're up against other people. You might be pitching in a genre that you haven't even done before. But certainly I've won many a tender over the years, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions that I can today from everyone.
Yeah, great. Well, there's many places we could start, but I guess where do you start when you've got a game idea? What's step one?
Yes, well, it used to be that you could do a game design document and an idea and get funding fairly easily on that. But unfortunately, those days are gone, and you need to make a demo. But fortunately, also the tools for making a demo are much more robust and quicker and easier to access these days. So the very first thing to do is to get a design and make sure that that design has some unique selling points. So something that makes it fun, and I believe that the game should be designed around the fun. The game should be fun to play, compelling, exciting, and it should have something unique, something different, maybe a design feature. And then the next step for that is to have a decent deck that looks good, reflects the game, has art polished probably to the level that you're going to have at final, and it should feel right. Make a demo that feels right. So even if it's just a small prototype, something that gives a flavour of the game, and then maybe one or two core mechanics of the game demonstrated really clearly, and anybody should be able to pick that up and play it, whether they're a developer or not. Many a time I've got by on making some sort of dodgy 3D walkthrough that is later going to be a game. And over the years I've refined that process to make sure that we put the fun in first and then add any other pieces that we want to after that.
Nice.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it really does actually. Yeah,
Okay, right.
It just, you kind of said, make it different, make it special, and get something ready to show people.
Yeah, make a demo to show people. It makes it so much easier. Don't tell me, show me. You could just show it off and give people access. And then also, let's say you're pitching to a publisher, and inside that publisher, you need a champion. You need somebody that's on your side that's going to pitch your game internally, because they'll have their own green light set up, their own committee of people that will sit there and judge the games that they're offered, about whether they're going to spend money on them, whether they're going to spend time on them, whether they're going to spend marketing on them. And so that champion will be your advocate, of course, inside the publisher. So the more tools that you can give him or her to show and demonstrate the game independently, the better.
Yeah, nice. So do you have, so just say things are looking quite good with a publisher, what is the process? So you've got your advocate, and then what are some of the processes that you typically see in a games publisher?
Yeah, so basically inside the publisher, you've got your demo. You've put together a design document and a deck and a demo. You may have a technical document to go with it. And then you present that to the publisher. Your advocate presents it with inside the organisation. You'll also need a budget, milestone table to show how you're going to spend the money, what money you need from the publisher if you need money, what marketing you would like from the publisher, and it's a negotiation. So you negotiate an advance on the development costs. You negotiate, if you can, as much marketing support as you can, and the more stuff that you can get upfront concrete, the better. Your net of receipts definition in the contract needs to be tight. That means there are only certain things that can be deducted from your royalties, i.e. the marketing of the game, and not all of the sort of supplementary lunches and travel that goes with it. And that's all down to the best negotiation you can do. So if you've had a good negotiation, you're flexible, not too arrogant, not too pushy, but at the same time you've got to stand up for yourself. You've got those tools inside the publisher, and then the publisher will discuss it internally. They'll compare it to other games that they're being offered to see that they're getting value for money. They'll have a look and see if it fits with their slate. They may already have something committed in that genre. And so they'll ask the questions within their own organisation. So it's good to have if you've got a strategy game, then it's good to fit with a strategy publisher. Or it might not be good to fit with a strategy publisher because they might have too many and you're not sure you're going to get exposure for your game. So it's important to find out what the publisher is doing and what they're committed to and what their strategy is going forward. Because you may find a publisher that has a product has fallen out of their pipeline, and then they need to fill that pipeline. Or you may find that the publisher wants to break into a genre, and you've got something that can help them do that. So there are opportunities, and if let's say publisher has a slate for Thanksgiving and they're about to deliver something for Thanksgiving, and then that title falls out, if you can show them a title and you have a title that can replace that and give them, development is notoriously late. So if you've got something that can come out for Thanksgiving, then they'll pay a premium for that rather than break their cash flow forecast and their profit and loss. Nice. Have you had that in the past where you've been able to kind of slip your game into their schedule at a premium? Yes, we've had that a couple of times, usually you do it. I found it easier with children's titles. There was a period in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s where everything was getting canned. Original titles were really difficult to sell. The supermarkets didn't want them, so we were trying to make original titles and nobody would pick them up. And even licensed product, there were like the big 5 licenses at the time, and that was it. The Tesco's or whatever, the supermarkets were overrun with various product. So stuff was getting canned. And the way around that is that we found that if we started something in February and we finished it by October and got it out for Christmas, it was unlikely it was going to get canned in that time. So that we did plenty of kids' titles that were, 9 months to a year to develop. and once you've got the engine and once you're settled on the platform, you can crank them out that way.
Great. So tell me about some of the more difficult titles that you've had to fund. That you.
Yeah, well, one springs to mind when you say difficult. I mean, already on this platform, I've shared the story of a game we made called Curse, a survival horror title, which I did get signed, albeit at the last minute, when I was about to give up. And I've told that story, and my video's available if you'd like to watch that, on the Business of Indie Games. But I had another original title called Kid Ninja, and it was we spent about 100,000 on the demo, just the demo, on the new platform. I think it was a PS4, brand new. It was a action platformer, and we got plenty of we got way down the track with many publishers on it, and it got picked up, and then it got dropped, and then it got picked up again, and it became very difficult. And we had a publisher, and then that publisher spoke to Sony, and Sony said, "Oh, it's notoriously difficult to get platformers away." They told the story of how it had taken them 3 iterations of Jak and Daxter to get it to actually stick and become a brand and make its money back. And so this frightened our publisher away, and in the end, that game never came out. We ended up with some fabulous art and some really good characters. It was about a kid ninja. It was called. It was a kid who transformed into a ninja in his bedroom, and had like a bat cave in his bedroom. He transformed into a ninja, and he could transform himself into different attributes. So like a cheetah for speed and a gorilla for strength. And the gorilla, when I remember selling it in, and the first concept art came out, and the gorilla was about that big, and I said, no, go back and make the gorilla that big. So it was like King Kong pounding through the streets, and it was a lovely piece of work, and we just couldn't get it away. Sometimes it is just too difficult, and you have to say, okay, we spent 100,000, let's cut our losses and work on something that the market wants that's easier.
Yeah, so that's really an example where you've just said you've given it your all.
Yeah,
you've just got to cut your losses.
Yes, and original titles can be harder, especially if you're going to do it on a big platform and you're going to try and make something AAA, and you've got a AA budget, and it's much easier to do licensed product. And I think we ended up doing Doctor Who after that, or something, that young Indiana Jones, I think, that was able to pay the bills.
Yeah. Do you know, just for people who've not watched all of the videos, I wonder if it's worth telling the story of Curse.
Okay, all right, yeah. Sure. I'll tell it again, of course. So basically, we had an original title. We don't, because we're in the studio doing family entertainment, and we were, a group of young people. We wanted to make something for the teenage market. We just were fed up of doing family entertainment, and so we came up with an original survival horror idea. But it was set in Victorian times, so it was like an homage to Resident Evil 2, and it was, but it was a Victorian sort of steampunk survival horror. And there are some videos on it on YouTube. There's plenty around. It's called Curse the Isle of Isis, if you want to see that. And no relation. And then and I took it all over the place. I showed every publisher. I sat down with the EA. EA told me that this kind of thing could really be massive, and then I got a grilling from 17 different people in their panel, and I couldn't stand up to the questioning. They just they pummeled me into the ground with the questioning, so they didn't pick it up. And then I took it all over the place. I took it to E3, I took it to GDC, I took it to I think it was Game Connection, and I took it everywhere that I could find it, and nobody would pick it up. And once again, we'd spent loads of money on making this demo. The demo was lovely. Game. Yeah, and we were so I said to everyone, boys and girls in the studio, I said, look, if we'll give it one more shot. There was one more show, and if we don't sell it there, then we'll have to let it go and try something else. And so I went and I traipsed around the show. Nobody wanted to know. I was on my way out the door and I saw, I think it was Dracula they had up on a trailer on a screen, and I thought, well, at least they're in the same genre as us, so they might be interested. And I thought, and my first thought was, I'm too tired, it's the end of the day, I just want to go home. And I said, well, no, just go and ask, because at least then I can say I've done my best. So, and I went over, and the biz dev guy wasn't there, and it was a French company, and they said they'll give me the biz dev guy's business card, and I thought, oh, the last thing I need now is to next week on the phone try and explain my game in pidgin French. So, but it transpired that the biz dev guy was an Englishman who's a francophile and living out there, and so next week I phoned him up and explained the game. They came over, and within 6 weeks they gave us 1.6 million euros to do that game. So you never know, we'd given up on it. And so my sort of message to indies out there is, don't give up, take it seriously, do your best. You know, maybe somehow the universe will break and give you your opportunity.
Lovely, lovely. I just want to say, you know, last year when we organised the Business of Indie Games, we connected with this amazing guy in Australia. I won't give you his name, but I think he was 21, and he just full of energy. And I remember he was on the phone. We had a chat with him. You had a chat with him, and he had this great idea. He teamed up with a developer, and they'd started a studio. And he just said, "How am I going to talk to investors? I'm 21. What am I going to say?" You know, and what would you say to? And funnily enough, he actually got 250,000 Australian dollars from some investors on the Gold Coast in up north.
Oh, it's fantastic!
You know? So
fabulous.
Yeah, what do you say to someone who's got a great game idea, you know, has got the technical capability to see it through? How would you recommend that they start talking to investors? Because, you know, it's easy when you've had a lot of experience and you've gone through the terrifying experience of pitching.
Yeah.
But if you've never done it before.
Yes, yeah. I mean, pitching, it's, you know, it's its own talent, skill, discipline. You have to practice. You have to practice with the team. You have to get up and pitch the game. You have to keep pitching the game, and you have to keep saying it over and over. Like the Kid Ninja stuff, I can still remember it from how I used to sell it back then because I did it so many times. So it's really worth getting a deck, making a deck, saying a little bit about you. You say what your game is, you show the features of the game, you show the money that you expect it to make back, you show how you're going to assist the publisher in making it work if you're having a publisher, and but that's the publisher route. But the investor route, I've had mixed experiences with investors. I have had angel investors who are absolutely fabulous. First of all, it doesn't matter what age you are. It just matters about the game that you've got and making that game shine and having something unique that people would like to invest in. Show them how they will get their money back. Say, I'm going to do X units on PS4, I'm going to do Y units on Xbox, I'm going to do Z units on Switch, and I'm going to sell these many downloads on Steam. And then you can do a worst case scenario where you think if it's just about going to wash its face. You can do a medium case scenario where everybody makes some money, and then you can do a best case scenario if it really takes off and you have a hit on your hands. So out of the 25 games I've done, only about 5 of them have actually been, you know, super hits. The rest of them have either washed their face, and some of them have lost money. And I think the first Doctor Who I did, there's 25,000 units of that buried in a landfill somewhere. So
back in the day, where
I'm blaming the engine. So yeah, so firstly, it's like take heart. You've got to look after yourself with investors because I mean we've all watched Dragon's Den on TV, right? So it can be like that. They can want too much. You know, they can want to sort of lend you the money and want the money back plus shares, plus a share of the royalty, plus a piece of the company. You know, so you have to be really careful and get some advice or some professional negotiating help, or at least study the important points of what to negotiate, because you're going to give, you might be living with these investors for a while, and you know, you want to remain as friendly as possible. So it's really good to get all of the stuff out of the way first, you know, so make sure the negotiations are clear and that you're happy with it. Don't enter into the investment relationship already feeling like they took too much, and so you're resentful and you're on the back foot. I was able to find a company, the guys are called 2Enable, and they are, you know, the number 2 Enable. They're a fabulous bunch of angels who invested in me and stuck with me through thick and thin. But there have been other times when I've not been able to take the investment because the terms are just too harsh. So what you want is a win-win situation, and you want, you know, a mature relationship where, as the chairman of 2Enable said to me, where all the constituent parts of the business are served in a balanced way. And I think that's brilliant. You know, you take the right from the consumer to the investor and the publisher, that everybody is served in a balanced way. And it's about practice, and it's a numbers game, and it's like get out there and see people. And initially it might be nervous when you share it for the first couple of times, and then after a while you get so used to it you just be bored of doing it. But and then it becomes fun because you can start to build relationships with genuine investors, and when you're having fun with people, they want to be involved in your life and that they will invest in your game. But have a good product and a realistic, you know, proposal for actually selling it. Can I say one more thing on that?
Yeah.
Just to say, you know, even if, let's say you get the worst case scenario and the game doesn't make money, it's not over yet then. There's still other things you can do with it. You know, you can get a box product made. There are other publishers that will take it. You know, the guys that will sell it, you know, at garage in a bargain bucket or something. You can do that to get extra revenue back. But that's not the best way. The best way is to maybe repurpose the game, use the engine, use some of the mechanics, and try a different genre. Maybe add another feature, add a USP to sort of mitigate the risk of it not working out. And if you do that kind of stuff, you know, you might be able to sell it on to another studio or another developer who don't have an engine or don't have a you know, particular mechanics or need a game. You might be able to sell it that way. So there's your investor will stick with you if you're able to do this stuff and show that you can demonstrate that you're actually can make the business work, because it has to be for the long term. You might get a runaway hit straight away. Some people do. The Postal guys did that. It might take you years to before you actually get a hit, you know. So the other thing is to choose a good studio strategy. Are you going to do work for hire and do your own thing on the side? Are you going to raise money and put it into your magnum opus? And either way can work, and either way is fun. But it's about choosing the right strategy and then sticking with it until it actually works, because it will work in the end if you keep on going.
Great. Sorry, just a bit of housekeeping. I'm just chatting to people who are in the live stream. But also we have who is effectively our mascot. Just in case you're wondering what the noise is coming from the corner, here is Pickles. He makes a lot of noise, so anyway, he always seems to be involved in the interviews that we do.
Yeah, it's easier to have him here than scratching at the door.
I know, he won't leave you alone, Simon, will he? Yeah.
Somebody loves me.
So, do you know, one thing I'm thinking is, when you've got a game and you just get knockback after knockback after knockback, you talked about a way to kind of not just throw away that work, and I guess all of that feedback that you get in those knockbacks would give you the insight to what people actually want. You could, if you didn't have the budget, I hear you're saying you could pass it on to another developer.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, get to know everyone in the industry. It's a really, it's a lovely place to be. This industry, 'cause people are really kind to each other, and it's one of those industries where you can get good advice, and you can get help, and you can get connections from each other. As Ed Dilly put it, like all boats rise together in the industry, and so because there's always someone with some kind of need that can be served.
Yeah, great. Well, so what about getting in front of investors? What's the best way that you've done that? Have you used your contacts? How have you built that pipeline of people?
Yes, it's been different over the years, and for a while I didn't have to do anything, as I had one investor for a long time. But there are places online like Angel List is good to find investors in your business, and there are other games industry people that invest in projects. There's Kowloon Knights, there's the Epic Mega Grant, there's a whole bunch of people that put money back into the industry, and I'm sure that we'll be able to get together a list of contacts that we can supply through the business of indie games, because I don't have them off the top of my head.
Yeah, we're working on that. So if you sign up at www.businessofindiegames.com, you'll get for members. We've got a list of we'll have a list of 30 kind of up-to-date investors with their contact details and a bit of information about them. So also the free summit goes live from December the 9th to the 13th. So if you come straight in from YouTube as opposed to the summit, as opposed to already having signed up, just go to www.businessofindiegames.com and you'll get free access. Yeah. So fantastic. I think the final point is grants. And different incentives. In Europe, and at least, there's a lot of incentives, right?
Yeah, there are. So there's like the European Media Fund is open at the moment. I'm not sure what the values are, but it could be. I seem to. The number 150,000 is in my head. I certainly wouldn't have thought it was less than that, and it may be more. That's open at the moment. It closes in February. And they will take European pitches that they have some certain rules and criteria that need to stick to. But I know people that have received that grant. They'll usually give it to you in chunks, but they'll give it to you in big chunks and in useful chunks. We've been able to. There's the UK Games Fund. I think that's closed at the moment because the amounts are quite small, but they will help you pay for a demo. And then you can set up in specific areas. Excuse me. You might be able to. There are certain areas that you may be in one, or is near you, that needs further economic development and growth, and there are grants and soft loans of up to sort of 200,000 for you to be able to start development, and that's throughout Europe. So once again, we can supply a list of that, but it is certainly been useful down the line. There are tax credits as well, R&D for the research and development you do. I think that's 20% of qualifying expenditure, and video games tax relief, of course, where you get money back for money that you spent on your developers and freelancers. And these have been introduced here in the UK to help combat other countries that were paying for developers to make demos. So this effectively allows us to compete with the rest of Europe.
Yeah, and I think also, I like, even for instance, we had, I remember in Costa Rica, in El Salvador, there are like little grants. If you co-develop with a developer in El Salvador, they'll give you a kind of a $50,000 investment or a grant. I don't think you need to pay it back. And there's all sorts of options like low cost loans, for instance. It's really worth digging, because when you dig, it says a lot of these funds are not advertised. You just have to kind of dig around, like going to, where you go to a kind of business. In London, it's Institute of Directors, and they'll have a list of all the grants available through the government and through private organisations.
That's right. Yeah, there are grants and soft loans available online as well. There's Creative UK. I think that fund is open at the moment. That's in the UK. And there are lots of regional development grants, they're called. So if you can Google that, I think that happens in any territory. And then there's UK startups. If the bank won't lend you money, they'll lend you 25,000, and you don't have to sign a personal guarantee, and they will also give you a payment holiday, so you don't have to pay anything back for 3 to 6 months maybe. And these are all options. I mean, I'm not advising go out and borrow money. I'm just saying that if you're putting together a strategy that relies on pieces of money coming from here and there, that might be one supportive option.
Great. Well, is there anything else you would like to add?
I'm sure I'll think of something, and we can always do another one. I haven't got anything at the moment, but I'd love to answer some questions if there are any.
Yeah, anyone. So we'll just chit chat here until I'll just put a shout out here. Any questions? Yeah, so I'm going to see if there's anything else. I wrote a long list as normal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe God, I think we covered everything. Oh, what's the worst experience you've had with a publisher? Because you talked about being grilled and not standing up for grilling with 17 people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought. I remember thinking I'd have an easier time in Paddington Police Station than in there.
That's how they take the terrorists, right?
But so the most difficult experience was I'd personally, I think I'd bitten off more than I could chew, and I took on. We were already doing one multi-platform title, multi-SKU title on PC, PS, PlayStation and Xbox, and we were invited to tender for a project, and we won it, and we took it on, and it didn't go well. In terms of the license, everybody lost heart and didn't believe that the license was ever going to take off. So while we were delivering, and we had some headaches on the title, in that halfway through we realised that the engine that we were using wasn't, we were using an engine from another developer, and it wasn't going to cut it. So we switched to renderware, and in mid-development, and then we did it, and we went and we sold it in to the client, sold it into the publisher. They stuck with us, they bought it and said, okay. So I put the programmers in a black hole for 3 months, and then we came out with this beautiful looking demo, couple of levels. It's really working well. But internally, they didn't believe that the brand was ever going to sell, and they canned it. And they'd spent a good couple of years telling me about their family values, and then they didn't pay the milestones that they were contracted to, and that was a very difficult situation, because I didn't have the sort of the stomach for a fight, I didn't have the money for the lawyers either. So we basically just had to accept the situation, cut down the team size and the studio size, and then try again on smaller projects and then build back up. I think that was the most difficult situation.
Wow, God.
Because at the time it cost $250,000 to run the studio a month.
Wow.
So it only takes 1 or 2 milestones to miss, and you've got a payroll headache.
Yeah, absolutely. God, what a story! What a story! And it, just all it can take is one person saying, "Hey, I'm not happy with that. No, I'm not going to pay you."
Yeah, absolutely. Or just do a few more bits and we'll pay you next month.
Oh, yeah.
And that can happen quite a lot, and you can ride that storm. And you can plug holes with other money, and you can pull money out the air somehow for a long time, but you can't. It weighs on you, so it's really important to make sure the studio is properly funded, that you're not just reliant on one customer, or sometimes just have an investor and don't have a customer at all, and make an original title and then release it. You can release with DLC now. You can release it earlier than you might normally, and then get the community to help you get the game finished and get the game selling.
Nice. Oh, here's Des Gale. Any questions? Yeah, up to 150k match funding. Nice.
Oh, great. Yes. Is that the
Yes. Yeah, that is it. Thank you, Des.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say thank you, Des. Thank you, Des.
I think he's watching.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay. There's a bit of a delay. Sorry, we are brand new to live streaming. We've done everything pre-recorded in the past. So great. Well, if there are any other questions, here we go. Great information. Thank you. Can you give an example of phrasing or a form of argument you found successful in pitches versus ones you've tried but tend to miss the mark?
Well, that's a really good question, actually. You have to be very specific and very subtle in the nuances of that. I think you have to really look at what your value is, and you have to stick to your value. I've had publishers use salami tactics, where they try and get you down slice by slice on your budget, and you have to stand your ground. So I don't have particular phraseology, but I might say, the team is excellent. So these are the things that I have. The game is excellent and it's worth paying for. The team is of a standard that's very difficult to put together. So there shouldn't be any compromise in allowing these people to make what we need to make. If we are going to compromise, it would be over removing features, if that can be done, cutting scope, because very often, the games will be stuffed with features. So if there's cost saving to be argued about, that would be where I would do it. I'm trying to think. It's a really good question. Particular phrases.
Yeah, and also with pitches.
I have, sorry, Nicola, I have, got up from the table and said, look, we just can't do it for that. We're not going to do it under those circumstances. And if they really want it, as in was this case, they said no, sit back down, and they came around. So I can't answer specifically phraseology, but make sure you really know your value and you're willing to stand up for yourself, and don't let them take the piss, because they sometimes they'll try and cross collateralize, where they try and recruit their money back from your royalties on other titles. So really stick to your guns and go for fair play is what I try to do.
Great.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
It's really good. Thank you.
And then there's a point about when you've got your, I guess also about pitches, about elevator pitches, like what works and what doesn't when you're communicating communicating your idea to a publisher.
Yeah, I mean, I'm English. I never speak in an elevator. So we just go quiet. But I know what you mean. It's just like you just know, if you love your game and you love your product and you love what you're up to and you love your team, you love the people, then it's easy. You just share. You're just sharing what you're doing at the moment. And the important thing is, for me, when I'm sharing, I'm genuinely sharing from my heart what the game is all about, and I leave the results up to the publisher to decide, or the universe to decide whether I'm going to get it or not. Because I'm not good at manipulating. I can't manipulate situations. But what I will do is I will wholeheartedly say the good things about the game, and I will say, I want you to buy it, and I want you to do it. I want us to do it together. Please commit to us. These are the things. And when they say, "Oh, can you throw in this and throw in that?" If we can't, we can't, and you have to stand your ground and say no. Just going to, we can't do that. It wouldn't be right for the product. It wouldn't be right for you. It wouldn't be right for us. But we can do this and this and this. And we're just so being genuine about what you have got, and not trying to bullshit what you don't just agree to everything or say that you can do stuff that you can't, because they know, particularly the big boys.
Oh, Des has come with a question that let's have a look. What effect do you think the rise of streaming services like Game Pass and Apple Arcade will have on the types of games getting funded?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I mean, it's something I'm grappling with at the moment. The way we're looking at it is just an opportunity to find out what the streamers want. I mean, I'm trying to trust that it's going to be good and it's going to do well, because I've seen what's happened with Netflix. There's a lot more good content and a good original content that's been commissioned directly by the streaming platform. And then, of course, I worry that, my game and your game will be bundled in with everybody else's game, and people will be paying $4.99 a month, and, we won't get any margin. So, at the moment, just trying to build relationships with the platforms to see what direction they feel things are going to go in, and then try to read between the sort of corporate lines to see what's real and what's just spin, and then choose my genre and choose my game direction wisely. I believe that people will always pay for good content, and so it's about value again, about believing in what you're doing and selling it in. Like some people give away their books for free, while other writers get huge advances. Some people self-publish, where Activision will still pay a huge advance for the right title. So I think it's about having something really great that people will pay for, and then certain genres will of course lend themselves to being streamed, but we'll have to. It's a good topic. Maybe we should do that one on another day. Thanks, Des.
Great idea. Thanks, Des. Great. So, anything else you want to add? Are there any more questions? I'll just put a shout out here. Any more questions? Oh, look, we've got a nice. Hi, Simon. Hi, Nicola. Great to see you guys again. Love you both.
Who's it?
I don't know, but anyway, love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. You made our day, really. We were like, is anyone going to come to this?
That anybody asking questions, you made my day. Thank you. It's great.
Great.
Okay.
Great. All right. Well, I think we're gonna
We'll wrap that up for now.
yeah. So look, anyway, you can sign up at www.businessofindiegames.com. I think all of you are already on the mailing list, and yeah, thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thank you for supporting us, and I absolutely promise that if you go through the content, that I've just done some really amazing interviews with people just in the last 2 weeks, and so I promise you, if you go through the content, you will get some real useful, uplifting insight to help us make success in the games business, and that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Great. All right. So see you later.